and welcome to the International Climate Webinar series of interviews with international industry experts and leaders. Today, we are talking with an energy executive who not just navigate change, he drives it. A leader known for innovation and operational excellence, further recognized with the prestigious Serve with Integrity Award, acknowledging his transformative work at PGM, and also with the esteemed IEEE Life Senior Member status. Welcome with us the leader whose vision shaped PGM. Thank you, Phil Harris, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Glad to be with you.
Having observed the evolution of power market globally, what movie character will the electricity grid look like? And what the features you see?
Well, what comes to mind is Charlton Heston in the movie The Ten Commandments. Here, everyone was looking for the promised land. They had different definitions of it, but they all wanted to gain it. But there was a lot of chaos.
Great movie and great example. Thank you. What critical innovation is necessary to ensure grid resilience despite the increase in adoption of renewables?
Well, I think we got to recognize two things. Number one, there isn't a single thing. Remember, the grid is just a giant ecological system that moves at the speed of light. Else, and if it's not in balance, it dies. That's the reality of the physics. At the same time, policymakers will be making decisions that affect their economy for the future. So to get those two closure, to find the right policies and yet make sure that the ecological system doesn't die, is a difficult task. So we need honest, intellectual honesty, good communications, ideas opening, and the realization that it's constantly changing. And an ecological system, you get rid of some nasty weeds there and maybe prune something over here and maybe water more in one location. That's the grid. It's an ecological system that's moving, and we need to nurture it and take care of it. So it'll be a continuum of change.
Thank you. Beyond cost, Phil, what is the biggest hurdle to the broader deployment of fast-acting HVDC device?
Well, I think there's two things there. I think one is there's not enough engineering talent that is well-schooled and well-versed in the fast-acting HVDC devices. I think the mechanisms that are there need to be studied, they need to be evaluated, they need to be involved in the simulation models, but just a lack of good engineers that can understand and do those kind of studies and enable it to go forward. I think secondly is again to recognize the evolution of the grid, how we've grown it to be a large synchronized grid, and the stages that are necessary to be able to put in the flexible load and other devices, that DC's time has come. It's the next level. The devices and the lines, both overhead and buried, need to be there. That getting the talent that can be deliverable and then finding processes to be able to study them and bring them on reliably is the key.
Thank you. You've advised Phil on the Beijing Olympic grid and the Navajo Nation. What unexpected energy issue have you faced, small or less?
Well, it's basically the same everywhere. Every country is different. Every need is a little different, but it's how to work and communicate with the policymakers, understand the ecology of their grid. Every ecological system's different. Singapore, same physics, but the way their grid is different than, say, Ukraine. So we need to find that balance to understand what their current ecology is, what's necessary to go forward, and then ways to communicate that with policymakers so we can reach a rational decision. And again, it's not a single point in time event. It's a continuum of change, a rational change, so that every time you go forward, you're closer to the goals that you.
Going to again to electricity market, what is the most misunderstood aspect of modern wholesale design in the electricity market?
Yeah, there's two things. We know right now in the short run, economics of electricity markets is working very, very well. The energy component, as data is proved all over the world, that's the most efficient way to have energy allocated in the most economic on that, and countries are doing that wide over. Where we're not there yet is long-run efficiencies. How do we derive the right price signals for long-term investment? And it's a very difficult problem because the price of capital to make that long-term investment is huge. So can you just have a high enough price that people invest, such as ERCOT model is trying to do? And the answer is no, because if the prices get high enough, that the politicians will get involved. The policymakers will get involved because the people are complaining because of the prices, and rightly so. In PJM, we have a capacity market. It's not really a market. It's more of a designed auction to be more perfectly correct with what it actually is. Even that built and it's working. It's also changed many times to adapt and grow to the needs. But when it gets too high, policymakers will come in and find a way to adjust it. So we're not quite there yet on the long run efficiency.
Going to the regulation part, what is a key regulatory change that are essential to unlock further smart grid innovation and deployment?
Well, I think one is an understanding of that. Again, I go back to the point, the grid is a giant ecological system. Thing affects everything else on that grid. So when we put in something to help flexible load, for example, how is that affecting the grid? And that has to be studied and managed. The difficulty is because one thing affects everything else on the electrical grid, and you can't afford a single mistake. On the power grid, we're actually flying an airplane that never lands. I mean, think about that. We want to change the engines, change the instrumentations, change the pilots, the skills, change the wing structure, all of this while this plane is flying. So we have to be very, very, very careful we do that correctly. At the same time, we can't let that be the enemy of the good and being able to move forward. So that means we have to have the studies and the capability to increment our way through that and to achieve these goals. So we have to have the ability to analyze, the ability to implement, but not be so afraid that we do not move forward. And we got to find a way to move forward on a timely basis. I'm excited about what I see happening in PJM with Andy Ott leading the effort that with Google to try to find artificial intelligence to get through the queues faster. The study queues are a huge stumbling block. If we can cut that down and cut the timing on that down, it'll have a huge improvement. So I think artificial intelligence has a real value add. At the same time, we got to be extraordinarily careful. Remember, it's an ecological system at the speed of light, and it can die in the blink of an eye.
Thank you so much. I have so many other questions lined up, but the time is short. 10 minutes is not enough for a mind like yours. But let me ask a last question. As an energy expert, what is one guiding principle for expanding the energy access while safeguarding the resources and protecting our climate? One guide.
Well, yeah, I think that we're in the next frontier. If you look at most organized markets in the worldwide, they're now optimizing on about 15-minute cycles. Some are even down to 5 minutes. That's pushing the envelope closer and closer to real time. Real time would be speed of light, and we're never going to achieve that. But we're getting very close to the edge of the envelope. So think about the evolution of jet airplanes. They flew it a certain way, then they got higher, faster, better, but you had to have more and more computerized applications because the pilot just couldn't process that a vast amount of information. Envelope today. So being able to develop the control systems and the mechanisms in ways that we can control the grid as it gets closer to that real-time envelope is the single most crucial step that has to be taken. And it's got to be done wisely, and it's got to be done well. There's some people who have different solutions about how to achieve it, but there's no unified approach or single approach to do that. And I think we should all envelop that as our biggest challenge.
Thank you, Phillip Harris, for your insight today. I want to thank you for all the work you have done for the electricity industry and the power grid. And I hope for you a good health and see you soon.
Thank you.